The sky above Zalara Prime burned red. The alien world had never seen such chaos before. For thousands of years, the Zalarians were known for their perfection, beings of logic, advanced technology, and flawless control. But perfection had a price. Emotion was forbidden. Compassion was weakness. And anyone who showed mercy to the enemy was punished. Among the soldiers stood Aria, one of the youngest commanders in the Zalarian fleet. Her armor shimmered with silver light, her eyes cold and focused. She had been trained since birth to fight without feeling, to obey without question. But deep inside her, something human-like still lived, something she didn't understand. When the war began against a small human colony, Aria was sent to lead the attack. It was supposed to be an easy victory. The humans were less advanced, their weapons simple, their defenses weak. But what the Zalarians didn't expect was how fiercely the humans would fight. Aria watched from her command ship as humans refused to surrender, even when outnumbered and overpowered. They fought to protect their children, their homes, their hope. For the first time, Aria hesitated. She saw bravery where she was told to see weakness. She saw unity where she was told to see chaos. When her troops destroyed the colony's main city, she gave an order that changed everything. She told her soldiers to stop the attack and help the survivors. Her crew stared in silence. No Zalarian had ever shown mercy to an enemy. But Aria couldn't ignore what she saw in the humans' eyes. She saw something worth saving. Her decision spread quickly through the ranks. Some followed her command, others refused. The war turned into confusion. The Council of Zalara saw her act as betrayal. In their view, she had defied the purity of their race. When the war ended, Aria was not celebrated as a hero. She was tried as a traitor. The High Council gathered in the Hall of Glass, their glowing forms reflecting cold light. "You have infected our kind with weakness," the Supreme Elder said. "You saved the enemy instead of destroying them. For that, you will face exile." Aria didn't beg. She didn't defend herself. She stood tall, her heart pounding but her face calm. "Maybe," she said softly, "it's not weakness to see life where others see enemies." Her words echoed in the silent hall, shocking everyone. The council ordered her stripped of her rank, her armor, and her connection to the Zalarian network. Her ship was dismantled. She was placed inside a single pilot pod and sent through a wormhole toward a distant, primitive planet, Earth. The journey was endless darkness and pain. Her pod crashed through the atmosphere like a falling star, burning as it fell into a vast desert. Sand and fire swallowed everything. When the smoke cleared, Aria was alive, but her pod was ruined, her systems damaged. Her once shining armor was scorched, cracked, and covered with sand. She tried to send a signal home, but there was only static. For the first time in her life, she was truly alone. No voice in her mind. No orders. No rules. As she walked through the endless desert, she remembered the humans she had once spared, their courage, their warmth, their strange, emotional strength. Now she was one of them, lost, weak, and forgotten. The desert night grew cold, and the stars above reminded her of her home. But now home was gone. The council had erased her from their records. She was nobody. Just a fallen soldier on a foreign world. Then far in the distance, she saw something, a light flickering through the dunes. It was small but steady. Her system scanned it and detected warmth, movement, and life. Her legs were shaking, her energy nearly gone, but she forced herself forward. Each step through the sand felt heavier, the wind colder. She could feel her system shutting down one by one. The light grew closer, and she saw the outline of a small settlement, human-made, quiet and still under the night sky. She fell to her knees, her body too weak to continue. The last thing she saw before darkness claimed her was a figure approaching, a human, carrying a lantern, running toward her. His voice called out, muffled by the wind, and as her vision faded, One thought filled her mind. So this is what mercy feels like. The first thing Aria felt was warmth. Soft, gentle warmth touching her face. She opened her eyes slowly, blinking against the bright sunlight pouring through a small window. The walls around her were made of rough wood and metal sheets. It was not a ship, not a lab, it was something simpler. A human home. Her body was heavy. The damage to her system still hurt. Her sensors showed partial function, and her armor's inner circuits flickered weakly. She tried to sit up but stopped when a voice spoke. "Hey, easy there. You've been out for almost 2 days." Aria turned her head toward the sound. A young man stood beside her, holding a metal cup of water. His clothes were dusty, his face sunburned, and his eyes calm but curious. He looked like a desert traveler, maybe a mechanic or explorer. But what struck her most was that he wasn't afraid. He handed her the cup. "Here, drink this. You looked half dead when I found you." Aria stared at him. His language was clear in her translator module. She took the cup, hesitated, then drank. The water was cold and clean, something she hadn't tasted in days. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice dry. "Outskirts of Velen Desert," he said. "Middle of nowhere, really. I live here. Name's Daniel." He smiled a little, and it wasn't forced. It was the kind of smile she had never seen among her own people, open and human. Aria looked around. Her damaged armor lay beside the bed. Her weapons were gone. Only the soft hum of an old generator filled the silence. "You brought me here," she said slowly. "Why?" Daniel shrugged. "You fell from the sky. I thought you were human at first. Then I saw, well, the metal under your skin. Didn't seem right to leave you out there. You are not afraid of me?" He chuckled. "I probably should be. But I've seen stranger things out here." She didn't understand him, not fully. But she could feel something unfamiliar, trust. No one had ever helped her without reason. He moved closer, checking the energy core embedded in her arm. "You're not a robot, right? More like part human, part machine?" "I am Zalarian," she replied quietly. "I was sent here, exiled." He guessed. Her eyes widened slightly. "How do you know that word?" "Just a guess," Daniel said. "You don't seem like someone who crashed by accident." She turned her gaze away. "I made a choice. My people saw it as weakness. So they punished me." Daniel nodded slowly. "Guess your people aren't much for forgiveness." Aria didn't answer. For a long moment, the only sound was the desert wind blowing against the walls. Then Daniel spoke again. "You saved someone, didn't you? That's why they sent you here." Her eyes met his, and for the first time, someone had understood her without explanation. She gave a small nod. Daniel leaned back in his chair. "Then maybe being here isn't such a bad thing. Earth's rough, but we're not all monsters." Something about the way he said it made her chest tighten. She didn't know if it was her remaining human emotion circuits or something else entirely. As the sun set, Daniel started a small fire outside. He showed her how to cook food, how to cover her damaged circuits with cloth, how to hide her glowing eyes from anyone who might see her. He spoke about life in the desert, about old wars, abandoned cities, and how people struggled to survive. Humanity, it seemed, was always fighting but never gave up. That night, Aria stepped outside. The sky above Earth was full of stars, so close, yet so far from the world she once called home. She felt small but alive. The planet was raw, imperfect, noisy, yet full of something her world lacked. Warmth. Daniel came to stand beside her. "Pretty, isn't it?" Aria nodded. "Your world is loud, but it breathes." He laughed softly. "Yeah, that's one way to put it." She turned to look at him. "Why did you really save me, Daniel?" He thought for a moment, then said, "Because I couldn't just walk away. Maybe that makes me weak too." Her eyes softened. "On my world, mercy is weakness." "Then your world's wrong," he replied. "Sometimes mercy is the only thing that makes us human." The words hit her harder than any weapon. She didn't respond, but something changed inside her. For the first time, she wondered if weakness could be a form of strength. A sudden sound interrupted the moment, a faint, mechanical beep from inside her armor. Her sensors picked up a transmission signal, faint but real. The Zalarian beacon her people had found her. Her systems flickered in warning. If the signal was active, they would track her. And when they came, Daniel would be in danger. Aria turned quickly and began to gather her armor pieces. "I must leave. Now." "Wait, what's going on?" Daniel stood up. "They are coming for me," she said, her voice low and urgent. "If they find me here, they will destroy everything." He reached out, grabbing her arm. "Then I'm going with you." She looked at him in disbelief. "You would run from your own world for me?" Daniel met her eyes, steady and certain. "You saved people once. Let me save you this time." Aria stared at him, torn between logic and something deeper. The night wind rose, carrying the sound of distant thunder, or perhaps engines approaching from the stars. And for the first time in her life, she didn't know which side of the war she belonged to anymore. The night sky above the desert glowed faintly with streaks of silver light, ships entering the atmosphere. Aria's sensors confirmed it. Her people were coming. The Zalarian hunters never left unfinished orders. Once an exile was marked, they sent drones to erase all traces, including anyone who made contact. Daniel packed supplies quickly, throwing them into an old hover truck. The engine coughed but came to life. "We can make it to the old mining tunnels in the west," he said. "Nobody goes there anymore." Aria slipped on what was left of her armor. It sparked as it sealed to her body, damaged but functional. "They will track my core energy," she said. "Even underground, they might still find me." "Then we'll give them something else to chase," Daniel said. Starting the truck, the tires spun across the sand, leaving a glowing trail behind. Aria looked up at the sky. She could see small flashes, searchlights from Zalarian drones cutting through the clouds. Their movements were cold and exact, just like she remembered. For a brief second, she felt fear. Not for herself, but for the human beside her. "You don't understand what they'll do if they find you," she said. "My people. They see humans as less than dust." Daniel kept his eyes on the dark horizon. "Then they're about to learn what dust can do." His tone was calm but strong. The kind that made Aria feel something she couldn't explain. Trust, hope, maybe even courage. As they drove, the wind howled harder. Sandstorms rose like walls around them. Visibility dropped, but Aria guided him using her sensors. The desert stretched endlessly, cold and silent, except for the deep roar of distant thunder or engines. "They are close," she said quietly. Daniel adjusted the controls. "How close?" 2 minutes. 3 at most." He didn't flinch. "Then we make them earn it." He turned sharply, sending the truck down a steep slope. The vehicle rattled violently, but stayed upright. Behind them, glowing drones sliced through the storm, scanning the dunes. Blue light swept across the sand. Aria climbed into the back and opened a small compartment on her armor. A faint, cracked energy blade flickered to life. "They are not supposed to land on this planet," she said. "If they're here, it means the Council wants me erased completely." Daniel looked back. "You said they only erase exiles?" "And witnesses," she answered. "Great," he muttered. "So I'm officially on their list." One of the drones spotted them. A blue beam hit the truck, melting part of the metal frame. Aria reacted instantly, leaping from the back as the vehicle swerved. She landed hard, rolling in the sand, and swung her blade upward. The beam split in two, and the drone exploded midair. The shockwave threw sand everywhere. Daniel turned the truck around and shouted, "Get in!" She jumped back on, landing perfectly despite her damaged systems. Sparks flew from her boots. "More are coming," she said. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Then let's disappear." They reached the cliffs at the edge of the desert. Old tunnels from an ancient mining colony opened like scars in the rock. Daniel drove straight inside. The truck's lights flickered as they entered the darkness. The wind outside faded, replaced by the echo of dripping water and the hum of distant machinery left behind decades ago. Aria jumped down, scanning the area. "This place was human-built?" "Yeah," Daniel said. "Before the corporations abandoned it. There's still some power left down here." She touched one of the walls, feeling the rough metal beneath her fingers. "You humans build things with purpose," she said softly. "Even when you know they will fall apart. That's what makes us stubborn," Daniel said. "We build again." Aria almost smiled. "My people would call that illogical." "Maybe, but it keeps us alive." For a few moments, they both stood in silence. The only sound was the hum of old cables and the faint heartbeat of machinery still buried deep underground. It almost felt peaceful, until Aria's systems detected movement outside the tunnel. "They've landed," she said. "How many?" "3 ships. At least 20 drones." Daniel tightened his grip on his small plasma rifle. "And us?" "2, she said. "Then it's a fair fight." Aria gave him a look, half shock, half disbelief. He smiled slightly. "What? You think humans only fight when we have numbers?" Before she could reply, the cave trembled. A beam of blue light cut into the rock, melting through the entrance. Aria pulled Daniel behind an old metal barrier. "Stay low." The drones entered, scanning the area. Their voices were cold and mechanical. "Exile signature detected. Termination order active." Aria's energy blade ignited again, brighter this time, its hum echoing through the cave. Daniel aimed his rifle. The first drone turned the corner, and Aria moved faster than lightning. Her blade sliced through the machine in one strike, sparks flying. "Go!" she shouted. Deeper into the tunnels. They ran through the maze of old corridors, the sound of metal feet chasing close behind. Daniel fired back, hitting one drone and knocking it off balance. The explosion lit up the tunnel in bursts of blue and gold. Aria could feel her power fading. Her energy core was low. She had one chance left, to stop them here before they reached the deeper tunnels. "Daniel," she said, breathless, "if I don't make it." "You're not saying that," he cut her off. "We both make it." She looked at him, then nodded. For a moment, their eyes met, alien and human, both filled with the same fire. Then Aria turned. "Step forward and face the drones head-on." The cave erupted in light. The explosion shook the tunnels. Dust and light filled the air as broken drones fell in burning pieces. The echo slowly faded, leaving only the sound of crackling metal and Aria's heavy breathing. Her blade flickered weakly and then shut down. She dropped to one knee, her energy core flashing red. Daniel rushed to her side. "Aria, you're bleeding." She looked down. Silver fluid leaked from a wound in her side. Her armor had cracked open. "It's not fatal," she said quietly. "But my systems are failing." "Then we need to find a place to hide," Daniel said. He helped her stand, and together they moved deeper into the tunnels, stepping over shattered drones and twisted cables. The walls glowed faintly with old power conduits. Pulsing like veins under the rock, they reached a wide chamber filled with strange human machines, drilling rigs, generators, and a massive door sealed with rust. Faded letters were painted on the metal. "Project Helios, Restricted Zone." Daniel frowned. This wasn't just a mine. I've heard stories about Helios. Some secret experiment from the old Earth Federation. People said it was buried for a reason. Aria touched the door, her sensors activating. There is an energy signature inside. Not human. And not Solarian either. Something else? Daniel asked. She nodded. Older, very old. The ground trembled again. Faint this time, but real. The remaining drones were scanning the tunnels above. They didn't have much time. Daniel searched the nearby control panel, brushing away sand and dust. Power's dead. But maybe. He connected his small battery pack and flicked a switch. The door groaned as ancient gears turned for the first time in decades. Light spilled out, golden, soft, and warm. Inside the chamber was something unexpected. Floating in the center was a large crystal sphere, humming with energy. Its light moved like liquid, changing colors slowly. Around it stood human computers and alien-looking conduits, as if humans had once tried to study something they didn't understand. Aria stared, frozen. This is Illyrian design, she whispered. But it's impossible. My people never came to Earth. Daniel looked at her. Then how do you explain that? She moved closer to the sphere. This technology is ancient. Before the Council. Before my people became what they are now. She placed her hand near it. The surface rippled like water, responding to her presence. It recognizes me. Suddenly, the sphere projected images, fragments of a memory long lost. Aria gasped as she saw figures that looked like her kind working beside humans. Together they built cities, shared knowledge, explored the stars. But then the images changed. Wars, destruction, betrayal. The alliance between humans and Zolarians collapsed, erased from both their histories. Daniel stepped closer. You mean, your people were once allies with us? Aria's voice trembled. Yes, and my ancestors buried this truth. They wanted to erase all signs of weakness, all signs of connection. The light faded, leaving silence. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Daniel said softly, so maybe your exile wasn't just punishment. Maybe it was meant to keep you from finding this. Aria turned to him. You think they sent me here because they feared I might discover the truth? Looks that way, he said. Before she could answer, her sensors screamed an alert. The drones had breached the outer tunnels again, dozens of them. They found us, she said. We can't fight them all. Daniel looked at the sphere. Can that thing help us? I don't know, she said. But maybe it remembers. She reached out and placed both hands on the glowing surface. The room filled with light, the air vibrating with energy. Her armor's system surged back to life. Data streamed through her mind, not commands, but memories, emotions, fragments of another time. She saw humans and Zolarians standing together, protecting something greater than both. A voice echoed in her head, soft and ancient. Balance was broken. Restore it. Aria gasped and pulled back. The sphere. It's alive. It wants to protect this planet. Daniel looked around as the walls began to hum. The sphere's energy spread into the floor, activating old defense systems. Panels opened in the walls, revealing ancient turrets and shields, powered by the same golden light. The first drone entered the chamber and was instantly vaporized by a pulse of energy. Aria looked at Daniel. It's defending us. Then let's hope it remembers which side we're on, he said with a grin. But as the sphere continued to glow, Aria felt something deeper, a connection forming inside her. Her core synchronized with the sphere's energy. She felt stronger, faster, aware of everything around her. It wasn't just healing her. It was merging with her. Daniel saw her eyes shift from blue to gold. Aria, what's happening? I don't know, she whispered. But I think it's giving me a choice. The drones outside screamed in mechanical voices as they were torn apart by invisible energy. The storm outside raged harder. The desert above trembled. Aria looked up at the ceiling, her voice calm but heavy. If I take its power, the Council will sense it. They will come in full force. Daniel met her gaze. And if you don't? Then Earth burns. He took a deep breath. Then you already know what to do. Aria looked back at the sphere, her reflection shimmering in its golden light. For the first time, she didn't feel like an exile or a soldier. She felt like something new. She stepped closer, the energy rising around her like a storm. Then let's finish what our ancestors started. The light consumed everything. Asterisk. The desert above exploded in light. The Zalarian fleet had arrived. Massive ships broke through the clouds. Dark and silent, like shadows swallowing the stars. Their engines burned blue fire across the sky. From the ground, they looked like gods descending. Cold, perfect, unstoppable dot in the tunnels below. Everything trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the ancient machines around Aria flickered with new energy. The sphere, the ancient Helios core, pulsed brighter, as if sensing the threat. Daniel shielded his eyes. They're already here, Aria. Aria stood still, her golden eyes glowing softly in the dark. I can feel them, she said quietly. They're locking onto my signal. The sphere's light ran through her armor like veins of fire. She wasn't just wearing it anymore, she was part of it. Her body felt weightless, her mind filled with endless streams of data and memory. The energy from Helios had awakened something ancient inside her, something her people had long forgotten. The council is afraid, she whispered. They came to destroy what they buried centuries ago. Then we can't stay here, Daniel said. They'll bomb this place. She turned toward him. If we run, they will follow. If we fight, they will destroy everything around us. Either way, humans will die. Daniel stepped closer. So what's the third option? Aria looked at him, and for the first time she smiled faintly. We make them see. Outside, the ground split open as Alarian drones poured out from landing ships. Their blue light cut through the night, scanning for movement. Tanks floated across the sand, their energy cannons humming. The air smelled of ozone and dust. Aria stepped out of the tunnels, her armor blazing gold. Daniel followed behind her, gripping his plasma rifle, even though he knew it was useless against ships that could destroy continents. The first drone spotted them. Exile located, it announced in a metallic voice. Termination sequence initiated. Aria raised her hand. The golden energy around her surged outward, creating a wave that shattered the drone in midair. The sand turned to glass where the blast hit. Daniel blinked. Remind me not to stand too close to you when you're angry. She almost laughed. Stay behind me. More drones descended, hundreds of them. Aria moved forward, light trailing from her steps. The Helios energy flowed through her like a living force. Each motion was graceful, precise, unstoppable. The drones fired, but their beams dissolved against the golden barrier surrounding her. With a single gesture, she sent a shockwave that tore them apart. But then the real threat arrived. A massive ship descended, its hull shaped like a blade. The insignia of the High Council glowed on its side, a circle split by light and shadow. A voice echoed from above, amplified across the desert. Exile Aria of Zalara Prime. You stand guilty of corruption, treason, and contamination. Surrender immediately, or this planet will be cleansed. Daniel looked at Aria. They mean it, don't they? Yes, she said. They will destroy Earth to erase me. Then don't give them the chance, Daniel said. Show them what mercy looks like when it fights back. The words struck something deep in her heart. The same compassion that once got her exiled now burned like fire inside her. She lifted her head toward the sky. You fear what you don't understand, she said aloud, her voice carrying through the storm. You call mercy a crime, but mercy is what made us more than machines. The ship's cannons powered up. Aria spread her arms. The Helios energy burst around her in a massive sphere of light. A golden wave shot upward, colliding with the energy beams from the ship. The desert turned white with brilliance. Sand and fire danced in the air. Daniel fell to his knees, shielding his face. When the light faded, the ship's weapons were gone, melted, twisted, useless. The entire fleet paused, as if shocked. Inside the command ship, the Zalarian elders watched in silence. "She has merged with the Helios construct," one said. "That technology was forbidden. She cannot be allowed to live," another answered. "But look," a younger voice said. "She commands it, and it obeys. She has done what even we could not." For the first time in centuries, doubt filled the Zalarian council. On the ground, Aria's energy began to flicker. The power was too great, draining her core fast. Daniel ran to her. "You have to stop, you'll kill yourself." "If I stop, they'll attack again," she said weakly. He caught her as she stumbled. "Then let me help." She looked up at him, barely breathing. "You already have." He took a deep breath, then turned toward the sky. "You hear me up there?" He shouted. "You want to destroy someone for caring? For saving lives? That's not strength, that's fear." The wind carried his voice farther than it should have. Maybe it was the energy field. Maybe something or someone wanted the Zalarians to hear him. Aria's eyes glowed again, this time softer, human-like. "Daniel, I can send a signal through their fleet. Not to fight, to show them. To show them what?" He asked. "Us," she said. "Together." She closed her eyes, reaching out through the Helios core. Her mind connected to the Zalarian network above, sending them everything, her memories of the humans she saved. Daniel's kindness, the courage she saw in the colony, the warmth she felt on Earth. The fleet's systems glitched. The elders saw what she saw, not through data, but through emotion. For the first time, the perfect beings of Zalara felt human pain, fear, and love. The lead ship lowered its weapons. The other ships followed. Silence filled the sky. Daniel looked up, breathless. "Did it work?" Aria opened her eyes slowly, smiling faintly. "For now." Then her knees gave way. Daniel caught her before she fell completely. Her golden light dimmed. "Aria, stay with me," he said softly. She looked at him, her voice barely a whisper. "It's strange. They exiled me for showing mercy. And now, mercy is what saved them." Her hand went still, the light fading from her armor. Above them, the Zalarian ships hovered in silence, not as conquerors, but as witnesses. The night was quiet after the battle. The golden glow that had filled the desert faded slowly, leaving only the whisper of the wind. The once terrifying Zalarian fleet floated motionless above Earth's sky, their engines silent, their guns cold. Daniel sat beside Aria's still body, his hands trembling as he held her head in his lap. Her armor had gone dull, its once bright surface cracked and gray. The Helios energy had vanished, as if it had burned itself out, saving everyone. "Come on, Aria," he said softly. "You didn't come this far to stop now." For a long time, there was no sound except the soft hum of the machines buried beneath the sand. Then, a single pulse of light glowed faintly from her chest. It was weak, but alive. Daniel smiled through tears. "That's it. You're still in there." He looked up at the fleet. Thousands of alien eyes were watching from above, unsure what to do. For the first time, the Zalarians were silent. No commands, no threats, only confusion. A deep voice echoed from the sky, translated through the ship's speakers. "Human, is she alive?" Daniel shouted back, "She saved your people. She saved this planet. Don't you dare treat her like a criminal." There was a long pause. Then, the voice answered quietly, "We see that now." A beam of blue light descended from the flagship, scanning Aria's body, not as a weapon, but as a healing field. The cracks in her armor began to close. Her breathing steadied. Slowly, she opened her eyes. Her golden irises dimly glowed again. "Daniel, what happened?" "You happened," he said with a shaky laugh. "You showed them what it means to be human." She looked up at the sky. The ships were lowering altitude, not to attack, but to hover in peace. One of them projected an image in the air, showing the faces of the Zalarian Council. They looked older, smaller somehow, without the power of arrogance behind their eyes. "Exile Aria," the leader said, his voice softer than before. "We have seen your memories. The crime you committed was not corruption. It was compassion. We judged you wrongly." Aria pushed herself to sit up, leaning against Daniel for strength. "So, what now?" "We cannot undo the past," the elder replied, "but we can learn from it. You are no longer in exile. You are a bridge between what we were and what we must become." Daniel smiled faintly. "Sounds like a promotion." Aria glanced at him, amused. "You humans and your humor." The elder continued, "We will leave Earth in peace. But a council will remain in orbit, not as rulers, but as students. There is much we must learn from your people." As the communication faded, the sky filled with soft blue light, the sign of retreat. The ships slowly ascended, one after another, until they vanished into the upper clouds. For the first time in centuries, the Zalarian Empire had bowed its head. Aria stood slowly, the desert wind blowing through her silver-white hair. The light in her armor was faint but warm. She looked at Daniel, the human who had changed everything. "You risked your life for me," she said quietly. He shrugged. "You risked yours for everyone. Guess we're even." She looked at him for a long time, her eyes reflecting the dawn. "When I was sent here, they told me humans were weak. That you lived by emotion instead of reason. But now, I think it's your emotions that make you strong." Daniel smiled. "And you thought being human was a punishment." She laughed softly, the sound light and pure in the empty desert. "Maybe it was never punishment. Maybe it was a gift." The first rays of sunlight broke over the horizon. Birds flew over the desert, where moments ago there had been fire and death. The world looked new again. Aria turned her gaze to the sky. "I'll have to go back someday. They need guidance, someone who's seen both sides." Daniel nodded, trying to hide his sadness. "Yeah, I figured. But I will return," she added. "Earth feels like home now." He grinned. "Then I'll keep a chair ready for you." She smiled back, her golden eyes catching the morning light. "You humans. Always so hopeful." As the wind carried the sand across the dunes, she stepped closer to him, placing her hand gently against his cheek. "You showed me what my people forgot, that mercy is not weakness, and that love can be stronger than power." Daniel took her hand in his. "And you showed us that even an alien heart can be human." They stood there for a long moment, two beings from different worlds, united by something far greater than species or origin. Then, with a soft hum, her armor reactivated. Golden energy surrounded her once more, lifting her slowly into the air. "Goodbye, Daniel," she said, her voice echoing like music through the wind. "See you again, Aria," he replied, smiling up at her. "Don't be a stranger." As she rose toward the clouds, the golden light trailed behind her like a comet. The desert glowed in her wake, shimmering with life. And when she finally disappeared beyond the blue sky, Daniel whispered to himself, she was exiled for mercy, and came back as hope. The wind carried his words across the sands, and somewhere above, in the quiet of space, a golden light flickered in reply.